Captain. Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind.
Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not a great plan.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hey there, we're those Sci-Fi guys, and this is that Those Sci-Fi Guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, but a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We are your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, coming to you from a day and date where the Revenge of the Sith was the most profitable Star Wars project in the last 8 years. Weird. Oh, and my illustrious partner over here, I accidentally muted him.
Hi, I'm DT Cavman, and I thought you said it was 6 years.
I changed my mind because I was taking into consideration the Rise of Skywalker, but latest reports indicate that Rise of Skywalker actually cost like $700 million to make.
Yeah, but The Mandalorian's first season in 2019, which was 6 years ago, was extremely popular.
Cost them $400 million to make.
You can't tell me that the merch didn't make up for it.
Well, when you consider, okay, we're talking about a strictly cost profit here. It cost them $400 million to make. They didn't technically make any money off of it. I mean, yes, it was to drive, but I'm literally talking about how, you put it out there, it brings in money itself, that one product. And we're already getting all mired in the weeds. Good times. DT, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you, man?
I'm hanging in, doing my thing as I tend to do. So, you ever have one of those weekends where you're like, okay, we're coming up on the end of the school year now. My son's robotics is pretty much done. My daughter's, plays and cheerleading, all that's pretty much done. We're on that last 6 weeks left of school, and things are winding down. Okay. We're not traveling anywhere. So I'm like, oh, this weekend, this is a great opportunity for me able to get stuff done. Like maybe actually finish my book outline because I'm this close. I am this close. And then we've been traveling and we've been doing things. The weekend comes up. Well, we had the fair, the elementary school fair that we had to do on Friday at evening.
That's not fair.
That's not fair. Saturday, I volunteered for the rodeo for my son's ex-troop, Boy Scout troop. It's a wonderful program. Me going there helps send a kid to camp in the summer. So, it earns
so
money.
You're doing it even though
my son's not involved in it anymore. Yeah. I mean, it's I was so taken with the program, I'm not asking for a pat on the back. That was my choice. And it was fun. I liked it. I got to see the parents that I hadn't seen in a year. So that was fun. And I always love the rodeo atmosphere. It's just a fun vibe. And then yesterday, I'm like, okay, Saturday night, I'm shot. My back hurts. I've been moving around all day. Sunday, I'm like, I've got nothing to do. I wake up at 9:30 because my dog had spent the last hour and a half trying to wake me up. Okay, fine. He wanted to go for a walk. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll take you for a walk. But then I had to go and run on Starbucks. So I took him for a walk, went to Starbucks, came home, showered, immediately had to go to the grocery store because I do the grocery shopping. So I went to the grocery store. I had a longer list than normal, got it done in 30 minutes, but they didn't have soda. They didn't have this nectar of the gods at the grocery store for some reason or another. So I had to stop at Walmart on the way home. Oh, and I also forgot that I also needed to get dog food, which they don't sell at the grocery store. I have to go to a specialty pet shop for that, for this special blend. So what turned into one trip was supposed to be one trip, ended up being 3 trips in an hour and a half long. By the time I get home, it is almost 2:00. I still have to do laundry. So I'm doing laundry. All the laundry. We're not just talking my laundry. The laundry that's already in the machines has to be finished too. and so do that. And then I throw my loads in. And then it's by the time I can actually get to writing, it's about 3:45, 4:00. Now, mind you, at 5:30, we leave to go to my in-laws for dinner on Sunday nights. I love it. I enjoy my time with them. I'm actually very blessed to be able to have in-laws that I love and who basically call me their son. They do. They literally call me their son. And, it's a wonderful vibe. It's not a scenario that a lot of people are blessed with, and I appreciate it wholeheartedly.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, I could probably get, bang out a chapter or two. It's 4:30 and my eyes just start drooping and they close. And I end up nearly falling asleep on my keyboard at 4:30 in the afternoon on this day that I technically didn't have anything to do. So did I get any writing DT done? How about you ask me?
I would say no.
No, absolutely not. Not one bit. I'm just like, oh my God, this book doesn't want to get done.
I ran into something like that yesterday too. It was I was supposed to not be working Saturday, not on call.
Yeah.
But somebody called me at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, God.
Because they said they couldn't get a hold of the other guy. When I talked to the guy this morning at work, he's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I guess I must have missed the first call. Like, it's okay, man. It's all right. It's the first one. And so, I was trying not to be engaged, right? But my wife and kid wanted to get up and go to independent bookstore day. Mm-hmm. So we did. We went to a couple, went to lunch. Still was getting group texts about this project that we were doing this weekend. And then, of course, because my the new supervisor who I'm working with, my new counterpart, still didn't have access to our time cards. So I had to approve all the time cards once the guy came off. It's not that hard as long as everybody's punched out, but
right.
Still, it was like I was supposed to be off. Okay. I would have slept later Saturday. But
okay.
Woke up, managed to doze back off a little bit, but still had to get up a little earlier than I wanted to. Anyway, Saturday was a lot of stuff. Ended up going out with a buddy, catching up, grab some drinks, have some dinner, separately. Sunday was supposed to be chill. The only thing I wanted to do was take all these bottles and cans that had been kind of building up to the recycling center so I could, get some redemption money back. And that was really the only thing I was planning to do because, we've been busy on a lot of weekends lately. Well, I get back, wife, Mrs. Cavman, is talking to me. We're watching end of the baseball game, and we're talking about some things we want to do on our summer vacation, like the trip we have planned. and I just dozed. I was like,
It's
your
body betrays you
sometimes. And we had talked a little bit, and then we weren't really talking about it anymore. And I was just kind of like, then I just kind of drooped. It's not like I sleep when she was talking to me, but yeah, I did that. So I forced myself to get up and go walk on the treadmill to get the blood going because it was still only like 5 o'clock. I knew if I fell asleep then, I would never get any sleep last night. So I know the feeling, man.
Yeah. So here's to life getting in the way of, well, our own pet projects, right? Like, not that I don't like my life. I love my life immensely. It's just we're victims of our own happenstance when these things
life happens, man.
And what a good life to have it happen with, right? So
sure.
I'll tell you who's not having a good life, though. And the subject matter that brings us into this whole thing, the Resistance. The Resistance is not having a good life. That's for sure.
Almost everybody on the show is having a bad life.
Everyone is flipping miserable in the Resistance. Even the Empire. Even the people who work for the Empire are miserable. Just so here we are.
Can I tell you? Is it just me, or is it just kind of in the Star Wars galaxy?
Kind of what?
Miserable in the Star Wars galaxy. Is anybody really happy?
No, because there's always some kind of war happening. Like there's never. I mean,
it is called Star Wars.
Everyone in let's just go back to the High Republic for the Acolyte, right? Everyone there was miserable too. Like, and that was peacetime. That was a time when everything was clean and good and nice. There was no downfall. Bureaucracy wasn't getting in the way of everything. Well, it was probably, God. But just I gotta tell you, we're gonna have spoilers here, just FYI up front. But I heard the rumors about what was in at least one of these episodes. I didn't know which one, and I was not looking forward to it. I was not. Nobody
is.
I literally wrote down as I was finishing the episode today. This was my stream of consciousness. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We'll get to it in a second. But I wrote, I'm entering this episode with a sense of dread. I am not excited. I do not want to experience this violence. And then, oh God, I'm fucking dreading all of this. And I go on why. And I just, it was like, it was part of my viewing experience for episode 3 the entire way through. Just waiting with bated breath for this awfulness. Like, and I'm saying awfulness to the character, not necessarily in the writing, so to speak. And I'm trying to figure out why. Should we just get it done out of the way now?
Oh, you mean the fact that they decided after they basically brainwashed and tortured poor Bix in season 1?
Seriously. They go ahead and try to have her, not try, she goes through an assault of, a very intimate variety, so to speak. We got to be careful about the words we use when it comes to this. We're going to get flagged to all, even with the swears. These words are sensitive. So with the algorithm.
So this is a somebody attempted to force themselves on Bix.
Yes, and it was alluded
A
to
filthy
in the second
imperial
episode,
bastard.
and they did a good job casting him. They made him look creepy. They made him look icky. He was well put together. He was well coiffed, but the actor did a good job. And at the very end, like he noticed she caught his eye when the Imperial Patrol was going through, and that storyline we'll talk about a little later. But he notices she's alone, and he asks her if she would like to have dinner sometime. And she goes, "My husband wouldn't appreciate that." Is she married, by the way?
No, that's the cover story.
Right.
Maybe the cover story before the start of this episode, before this. I mean, let's face it. So, like, it's this farm planet that Brasso and Bix and Cassian and the other kid whose name escapes me for a moment escaped to.
None of these names I know. It's been 3 years. And they don't say each other's names, by the way. They just say Caspian.
That doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
That has been that long.
Yeah.
No, Cyril's the geeky kid. No, but yeah, it was it's gonna drive me nuts. Anyway.
What?
Anyway, so this is where they flee after everything goes down on Ferrix.
And here's poor Bix right here at
yeah.
the center.
And she's put up with a lot.
The worst.
And they're hiding. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to hide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't you? They're escaping from the Empire, which, of course, they only did incite a riot.
Yes, and they had to flee. It's okay. So I know what they're doing is trying to make the Empire look bad on every level. They're trying to make it look uncaring. They're trying to make it look brutal. And there's a wonderful scene that we'll talk about later that I really liked characterizing the Empire. This guy tracking Bix down again and making sure that she's alone and just basically attempts to force himself upon her, and good on her. She fought hard. She fought back real well. And by the way, the fight scene was pretty realistic. Like, she used her environment. He was just using his weight and strength against her. She didn't have any strength against him, which is a lot of things that Hollywood tries to impress upon people. Like, oh, women can, 90-pound woman can sock out a 225-pound man just as easily. No, it doesn't work that way. But she used her environment, a massive wrench, to I just remembering him walking out of the complex, and then he starts to fall and he hits his head on the crate and falls down to the ground again. A nice little comeuppance, so to speak. But all of this I just found completely distasteful and unnecessary. I didn't like it. I know why they did it. It's Star Wars. Is this something that? And she literally says the word that rhymes with grape. She literally says that. And I can't watch this with my children. And I
didn't watch it with mine.
And to be honest, this kind of writing is not for children necessarily. And we talk about Star Trek all the time being, children being accessible to children and still being smart. And we talk about, as adults, we revisit these episodes and we're like, oh, it's a whole new experience for us as adults now that we have lived in age and everything. This is different. This is not that. I don't think. And
So
do you think
they're
I'm being
trying
unfair?
in. Well, look, if you watch DeLorean, there's plenty of decapitations, but it's all Star Wars
Bloodless.
violence, right?
Yeah, it's Star Wars violence.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
The Acolyte had some very brutal deaths. Obi-Wan,
Yes.
brutal deaths.
Yes.
You know, some of these series have decided, let's rough it up a little. Andor has had nothing. It's all brutal.
It's all brutal. It's
but
all
it's
brutalistic.
supposed to be.
I know.
And
I know.
To be honest with you, the fact that if you really want to believe that the Empire is super evil and controlling, the fact that we went through 40 years of it without seeing an attempted personal assault, that I think helps. The Bad Batch, I thought, did a pretty good job of showing through some of these episodes the kind of scumbags that the Empire was allowing to become leaders in their ranks. Like, you go from watching the Jedi commanding the clone armies to watching Crosshair on that outpost with some of those last clones, and the lieutenant just lets the clones die.
Yes.
Right? And that's what it is. Like, he's not there to take care of his troops, especially he doesn't even consider clones troops, right? Like, they're just trying to phase out clones, right?
Yeah.
So you get to see the
no matter
shitty people that the Empire is allowing in. These are all political opportunists who are going to connive and vie for attention. They're basically all trying to be mini Palpatines. But that's bad. I mean, like, for a leader to just allow his troops to die is atrocious. And you saw that stuff in the animation, but this is also the shit that you see, war crimes, stuff like this. These are the things. This is what happens when you allow, people with no scruples and morals to gain power, right?
Yes.
So unfortunately, and I'm not defending the action, I'm going to defend is Star Wars. If you really want to truly hate the Empire, you have to understand it's not just super villain. This is regular ground level, everyday horrible evil.
True. But I agree with you that, I mean, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. It's just George Lucas, when he put together the Phantom Menace, he's like, I made this for the kids. This is a movie for the kids. We're going to do the Star Wars is for the children, because I wanted to give them an idea of faith. I'm done with that now. But
yeah, you were kind of like going into Trump, and then like,
what? I will never do that impression. But
no, your just accent was like veering all over the place.
Of course it was, because I'm a terrible impressionist.
It was also Dr. Evil.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's where it was going.
Yes, but that's what Star Wars was, and I get it, and I don't know. I mean, we'll be beating a dead horse if we keep going down this road for the next 5 minutes. But before we put an end cap on it, was
Rogue
it necessary?
One started it by showing the first time we Andor, he shoots an informant who can't get away.
Yes, and that was controversial. Like, I remember complaining about that.
But
I was like, who's the good guy
set
here?
the stage. I mean, if there's to be a better world sometimes the people who help create it can't live in it.
Oh, was that said in that, or is that a thing from Moses in the Bible?
Well, it was kind of alluded to by the operative in the movie Serenity.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
But
Yeah.
it's also been alluded to by very many villains in movies, but also just soldiers. You
Mhm.
create a new world, but it's hard to live in that peace,
Yeah, super much so. I don't know.
It's easy to be a saint in paradise.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
The problem is
I don't
Earth.
know. My thought is you can show a brutality without having to get to this subject matter.
Well,
And
here's the
Bix has
thing.
already been
If this was
victimized.
Game of Thrones or anything else, they would have accomplished the mission.
Yeah, I know. And it's not, but
Bix
speaking of
killed
Game of
this guy.
Thrones, and speaking of Game of Thrones, this show's trying to do that, which I actually found the most interesting part of the show. But Bix was already victimized. They already alluded to it. The first scene we see, the Imperial interrogator that tortured her, it appears in a dream to stalk her and to pull back her blanket, and like she's already feeling this vulnerability. And I'm like, and even that was like borderline, like, oh, okay, we're doing that. And then it went further, and I'm like, oh gosh. So I don't know. I am not. We're not going to come to a conclusion on this. It's just it's something we're talking about. I don't think it was necessary. You and I both agree that it was a methodology to show the brutality of the Empire and the evilness of it on the ground level. We're not going to see Palpatine and hear him go, hey, 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 while shooting force sparks from his fingers to re-emphasize how dark side he is. So yeah, just I don't know. That being said,
well, it's kind of the ground level stuff, right? It's not.
Yeah.
And that's what you see. Everything is dirty. Everything is rough, right? They're bribing people, plots for assassination. All of these going on.
Oh yeah.
Beloved characters being whacked in the first couple episodes.
Yes. So I don't
And
think we necessarily.
that people are getting out alive. I mean, the Cassian's not going to make it out of the rebellion alive, so it's not a surprise if all of his friends don't make it out of this TV show alive.
All true.
I mean, they already killed his boy Brasso, who's a really good friend, who is in the first episode was covering for him and buried his mother for him while he was wanted by the Empire and all this shit.
Brasso.
The big guy is buddy.
Oh, the bearded guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. See, I didn't remember him because this show was 3 years ago.
Well, he had more of a beard now too.
They didn't even have the courtesy to have a recap of season 1.
Yes, they did.
Where?
On Disney Plus, you could literally watch like a 10-minute recap of season 1.
Oh, why not put that as part of the first episode of? I'm pulling it up right now. I believe you. I'm just mad at myself for not seeing it. So,
well, there was also there was also like a recap, like at the very beginning. Of you turn on episode 1, it's like
there wasn't one. Not in episode 1 of season 2.
Or maybe there was just. Maybe not. Maybe there was each subsequent episode. That's what it was. My bad.
Yeah,
But yes,
later
Disney
on.
Plus had a recap, and you know what? I probably should have watched it. As I was going through, I'm like, trying to remember these guys' names. Okay.
I'm looking at the extras. There's nothing here other than trailer
No,
for
it's
season
not an
2.
extra. It was out on the Disney Plus banner leading up to it.
Why isn't it under Andor? Let's check Star Wars. Season 2, a special look. Season 1 recap. Wow. It's not even under the Andor banner. It's under the Star Wars banner. What the frack?
Star Wars.
They don't even say how long it is. Oh, 14 minutes. Here it is. Well, there you go. So they didn't make that easy to look at. Like, nope. you have to click through several windows.
Agreed.
So, let's just, I mean, rather than do a full-on like plot revisit, let's just pull out elements of it that we want to talk about.
So here's the interesting thing, right? So they released 3 40-ish minute episodes. Now you look at them and they all say like 50 something, but like they have like 10 minutes of credits for these episodes, literally.
Yeah.
So they're not actually as long as you think. You're like, oh, geez, this is going to be 3 hours to get through this. No. It's really only going to be 2.5. Oh, thank goodness. But like the series basically opens with Cassian stealing a
prototype
Imperial fighter, which was kind of neat. I think they call it the TIE Avenger, is what I've seen it advertised as. Yes, prototype of an Imperial ship, TIE Avenger. Using some rebel in that's
a mole.
On the inside, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're using a mole.
Then of course he struggles to get out of there.
Because he doesn't know how to fly the damn thing. Like I'm sitting here. Why doesn't he know how to fly?
And he's cursing like.
Oh yeah, we heard our first ship bomb in Star Wars, by the way.
Yes, in season 1.
Oh, did we in season 1?
They said shit once. You have the first. You have
half this episode is going to be us saying, no, they already did that in season 1. Yeah. Like it's going to be half this episode.
Andor was the first to use real life vulgarity. This was the first one to have overt sexual tones to it, with Vic sleeping with her ex-boyfriend or like going into the bed and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And of course the other thing that we started the episode with, because we're that kind of fun guys, so there was a lot, and I guess there was an original. I guess there was a debate whether or not Marva's speech at the end was "fight the Empire" or "fuck the Empire." There's a lot of people who said it, that the mouth doesn't match up with "fight." It looks more like she said "fuck the Empire."
Yeah, they might have done some ADR at the end there. Yeah, that's possible, and I'm okay with that. It's fine. I mean,
yeah,
I'd rather I'd rather them not drop an F-bomb in Star Wars.
Yeah,
but because I mean, remember Picard?
Say that for Marvel.
Remember Picard? Marvel's fine. You could do that, but Picard, they dropped the F-bomb right in front of his face, and it's like, well, this feels really out of place. This should not be a thing. So was he supposed to get a different ship? And then he got this one?
It sounds like the intel was bad on the controls. Like I think he at one point he was like, I'm supposed to know how to fly this. There's like the design's all different. Like I think they thought it was supposed to be more like a standard TIE fighter.
Okay. Because I was shocked that they sent him on this mission to steal a ship and he doesn't know how to fly it at all.
That's the problem with prototypes.
and that can be that's a unique writing perspective, and that's fine. I mean, I was just trying to figure this out. Like, it felt weird. Well,
This is
they
still
wrote
the
an explanation to it.
This is still like the nascent Rebel Alliance, right? This is roughly taking place right around the start of the TV show Rebels.
Yeah, this is the 4
I
BBY.
think it's 4 BBY, right? Which I think that might be the first time I've ever seen that on screen.
Yes. I mean, they always talked about you always had to go into like the about episodes to see when it was taking place.
Well, no, just BBY or ABY. You know, that was kind of done in Legends. You know, that's how they mapped it when they started writing, and so everybody kind of fell in line. The Battle of Yavin being, you know, the key event there that they just flexed off before, so there was no time tracking otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first time I can recall seeing it written on screen somewhere. But it's cool.
And yeah, and you know, I found it amusing to think that, you know, Ezra's over on Lothal right now with Kanan and Hera
and Sabine and Zeb and Chopper.
Yeah, and Choppa. You know, they're all doing their thing right around this time. That, you know, it's interesting. So they're all over there trying to learn life lessons about how to grow up, and then we've got SA over here. Like, okay. Yeah. I think that this sequence with Andor stealing the ship and then going to the jungle planet, which we know what it is. We'll talk
the
about
rendezvous.
The rendezvous point, and then his person wasn't there, his contact wasn't there, but there were this crashed ship that had crashed 2 days before, and he gets taken prisoner by them, and then there's a fight between the two groups in those stranded parties. I found that wildly unnecessary. It didn't add anything.
Yeah,
other
especially
than the location.
Well,
which is Yavin, by the way, everybody.
You know, they're on Yavin 4, which they show when Cassian finally manages to escape these idiots, and they are. They're kind of buffoonish. Like, the two guys are arguing almost from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what?
Yeah. They're idiots, they're hungry, and they're desperate, which makes them dangerous.
Yeah. And also, there's lots of creatures that run through and kill people and eat dead
people.
bodies.
Yeah, it's a little horrifying.
It's a little Jurassic Parky, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like the raptors.
I thought the same. I thought that they would play up the animals more. That would be interesting, but instead they were just playing up the two factions fighting each other and hiding out in the crash ship versus hiding out by the Imperial fighter. And it got hokey enough to the point where they were actually, the one faction by the fighter was trying to turn the fighter towards the crashed ship so that they could shoot the crap out of them. Did that add anything? Did Cassian learn anything with this exchange? Like, we have no idea who these people are. They apparently didn't add any value to the story.
What it did do was delay Cassian from getting back to his friends until it was too late.
Okay. I mean, we've established that they've done.
I'm sorry, Frodo.
3 episodes.
I was delayed.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, they basically Gandalfed him, right?
Right. Look,
It's
what
just
I will
funny though
say
that
is
Gandalf
that
him and the show is named after him.
right,
So
but so then it was like The Hobbit, the um, back two movies of The Hobbit. That started to
right.
focus more on Thorin than him. But what I will tell you is, right now we're basically seeing 4 different storylines running at the same time. You have
Yeah.
Cassian, right? You have his friends on the farming planet. You have Mon Mothma and
Yep.
Luthen on Chandrila for her daughter's arranged wedding.
Yep.
By the way, they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then you also have the Imperial side with Deidre and Cyril.
Yeah.
And I
So
got to tell you, after watching all of Archer and seeing just how kind of pushed around and henpecked Cyril is, it's almost hilarious that he's named Cyril.
I know. Spelled completely differently. But yeah. Those 2 last scenarios, the Deidre and Cyril and the Mon Mothma wedding, I liked those storylines a lot. There's not a lot that happened with Deidre. Well, actually, though, there was. And we'll talk about. I
In
want to talk
episode 3,
about.
mostly.
Yeah, I want to talk about the farming planet and what they were doing at this point. We're done with the assault part. It felt weird that suddenly the Empire is dealing with visas. Never heard of that ever. I know it seems a little on the nose, doesn't it?
No. They were dealing with this in
Season 1.
Bad
God
Batch.
damn it. Were they? Where? When?
In the at the very beginning of the Bad Batch, they end up going to Volusia or Seleucamai, or one of these planets that they were on. It's the planet where Cut LaQuain and his family are. Cut, the rebel or the clone deserter who married a
Oh
Twi'lek. They got the
yeah.
kids, and
When he went
they
AWOL.
well, his squad was wiped out, and he just never went back. And he we joke a little bit about that, but it's Rex's time with Cut and his family which helps Rex start to see the bigger galactic picture in some ways.
Sure.
And it has a very big impact on Rex, and so the Bad Batch helps smuggle them off because the Empire is doing like identity chips and stuff. People are getting these, and that's things that they deal with a lot in Rebels as well, trying to get around these identity cards and visas and stuff like that.
Yes.
I mean, they even
Okay.
talk about it in Mandalorian, where it's like when he first gets the new starfighter and he gets basically pulled over by the cops. They're like, "Hey, where's your transponder?" "Oh, well, this is pre-imperial, so it's like just got it fixed," all that sort of stuff. So there was quite a lot of stuff hidden throughout the Star Wars lore in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. So it's not like a 100% brand new concept that is. And be honest with you, Andor's been in production too long for this to really be a true current event thing that hard.
Right? I don't know. I mean, okay. It felt like it was more of a
Fiction
social
becoming reality.
commentary. Yeah, and I'm like, that's Star Wars is supposed to be more spiritual and stuff. I mean, whatever. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. And then they do that thing. I shoot. See, I'm gonna have to go through a couple slides. You'll have to forgive me. So I
Well,
liked
I mean,
this. I liked this. I liked the setup of the silos and um, the industrialization that you see here. It looks very practical. It looks advanced and practical.
it looks familiar, but also futuristic,
Yes, exactly.
right? They
And
look like, oh, that, if you've ever been around in wheat country, these wide open in the plains and whatnot, you're like, oh yeah, okay,
yeah,
I can see that. The silos and grain elevators and shit. If you've ever lived out in the center of the country,
yeah. I mean, it's there.
I
That's life, man.
yeah. So
I liked this. I liked how the planet was perpetually overcast. And this is where I get to the point where, like, what parts were filmed outside and what parts were filmed in not the void, what the volume. Thank you. Like, it's really weird. There's only one scene that I could tell was filmed in the volume, and it looked horrible. And I'll show it to you. I don't have the exact scene, but I'll point it out later. I just was like, it made me go, oh gosh. I will say this: I liked this group. I didn't have any real affection for this group in the first season. I don't know why. Maybe it was just too many people to try to learn and whatnot. But Bix, Bix and this guy. I liked this
that's
budding.
Willman.
I liked Willman and the local girl having a bit of a budding romance, and he didn't want to, but he kind of,
He
couldn't
crushed
run
on her,
from
but
it.
he was worried about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So,
the other guy, Brasso, was hooking up with a local too. That the older woman who was there with them was actually a local. So
the
they kind of
red-haired woman,
tease.
right?
Yes, they kind of tease Willman that, like, see, even Brasso's doing it. So
I missed that, but I miss a lot of things. I liked this. Do you have anything to add in these scenes and whatnot?
Well, I mean, this reminds you of any time you see fugitives on the run in almost anything, right? They try to hide out,
Yeah.
in an area where they think they're not going to be bothered, and at some point, the big bad shows up. Whoever's chasing them. In this case, the Empire, which they're trying to outrun, which you've seen at times in Star Wars too. Happened in Rebels, happens in the Mandalorian. Somebody shows up to ruin the day. It's like in Mando, in Mando's first season, where they're hopping from place to place to, like, stay ahead of bounty hunters to keep Grogu out of harm's way.
Yeah.
So
I will say they do a good job of making the Empire look completely oppressive in the sense that they are everywhere. And you can run, but you can't hide from the Empire. I also have to wonder how it's possible in a galaxy. I mean, you see in season 1 the Intelligence Bureau and how they have all their sectors split up, and they meet and they talk and they say, oh, my sources over here in section 3 are showing there's a bit of an uprising due to crop yields over here. Well, that's something we need to keep an eye on. Is there something that we can do to lower that risk over there? Well, we could probably open up resources over here. Things like that. Interesting. It's just pretty, and that's to show the daunting power of the Empire, right? It's pretty crazy.
I mean, all the Empire did was flip the switch. Galactic Republic, and what they ended up doing was make it very human centric, and would give power to hungry, backstabbing, xenophobic, I mean, so far you haven't met an Imperial, too many Imperials where you're like, this guy's really just here to do a job, right?
Yeah. No.
I mean,
They're all they all have ambitions. Evil
and ambition is fine.
Evil ambitions.
Well, it's kind of funny. Deidre very much in season 1 seemed very much like the cold, hard Imperial officer. But season 2 is kind of making me like her.
Who would have thought that? Oh, do I have here that this is the couple that we would all root for in Star Wars right here? I'm rooting for them. I like that they have a relationship. I also like how they brought in his mom for dinner. I love
like,
this.
we can just tell her that you're still away,
Yeah, we can pretend you're not here yet. You're not back yet. And I love this couple. I love that they're a thing. She definitely has a feeling for him, but he's more of a puppy to her in a way. Is that being fair? I might be disregarding him a little too much.
He seemed at the end of last year, like when he crashed and burned with his attempt to oppress, all the issues on Ferrix and chasing Cassian and whatnot. And he ends up giving information to her, but he keeps like trying to want to help her. And she's like, no, just leave me alone. Stop. Look, I've got this. Thank you for all of your help. He's trying to get back in. And then he discovers some information. That's what he's talking about when he's walking this new guy through to quote Futurama, the central bureaucracy. And that's what I think about.
Speaking of oppressive, oh man.
So you walk in there and he's like, attention to detail. It can be as important as you make it, right? And he's right. He used what he knew and he found some discrepancies. He got in touch with an Imperial, and it ended up bearing some fruit. It caused disaster. He did get out there, and he's the one who pulled Deidre out of the mob, out of the riot, basically saved her life. And now they're here, and
they're living together.
Does generally, I think she generally cares for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think she's become. It's clear that she's very protective of him now because, like, she basically crushes, his mom, who's like every oppressive mom. Oh my God!
A toxic smother, a complete toxic smother.
Yes, the memes were so good. Like in the middle of the meal when he just like leaves and just like face plants into his bed, and and he said, I've seen memes where it's like I have never agreed with a Star Wars scene more in my life.
Right? Yes. And the fact that she goes, Deidre goes, we're going to have this work out to the point where you can see him. The times you can see him, though, are proportional to the amount of times that you are proportional to the amount of anxiety that you induce, or inversely proportional to the amount of anxiety that you induce upon him. And she just lays out all the rules on his mother. And first of all, number one, dude is dating his mother. Like he's stuck. He's got a thing for powerful women that take charge. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what happened. They had two powerful women butt heads at each other.
I do think that Deidre is less smothering with him.
She's strong.
There does seem to be. There does. He does. I think he does gravitate to strong women. I think she's at this point. You're seeing she's a bit healthy than his mother.
Yes, I can agree with that. I do like this picture here of her practicing a smile. Like, this is the first time we saw her smile ever, I think. Is she's practicing
so.
this, she's trying the smile on exactly how she's like putting the dress on in front of her. It's all part of the outfit.
What the hell is with these ties?
I don't know.
Find me a good picture of Cyril, please. I mean,
okay,
what is with this?
Oh shoot, I got one.
There was a
here we go.
Right
here.
What the hell? It's like they put it's
that.
It's almost like, no, that's not him. Go back. That.
Right here.
Look at the tie.
I know. Oh, sorry. My bad.
What are you doing?
I'm clicking all the wrong things because I can't see the picture as well as you can. Yeah, I don't know what that tie is.
Jesus. It's like they just it's like it's through a loop. It's like where do you hang your bath towel?
It is, yeah. I mean, you can't have a Windsor knot. You can't do that.
You can't. I know. No, but it's just, look at it. I mean, and she's got one, and it's like, God love them. They picked out an aesthetic for this time period.
Well, listen, I think it works. It's okay. It's not something I would wear.
It's black, white, or gray. That's it.
Yeah, that's literally
Empire has no color.
No, you have to go to Chandrila. Which, did that exist before this season?
Yes. They talked about it in season 1.
Okay, but before this show.
In Rebels, Mon Mothma became a
Chandrila
semi-recurring character. Chandrila.
I keep wanting to say Shangri-La. It's that similar.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, it's fine.
You get Ben Mendelsohn back as Krennic, which is good.
Let's talk about this.
They're fully moving towards Rogue One.
Yes.
Clearly, Director Krennic is trying to get all of these people on board with his vision so he can complete his project of the Death Star.
So this scene I found completely intriguing. You have all of these people in various positions of power that are meant to come on board for Krennic's plan to, what's the name of the planet that they want to drill on? Gorman. There's a town in California called Gorman.
Did you like the tourism ad?
The tourism ad. I thought that was just, I'm sitting here going, they got that guy's voice. They got that guy to do the voiceover. He does everything. They used him. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fine. It was a good opportunity to show in an in-story way the importance of what Gorman is. And then they talk about how, what's the mineral that's in there? That
it's a silk.
No, the mineral. There's a mineral that they want to drill for. It's an energy-based mineral. It's well, they need it for energy purposes for the Empire. I'm thinking kyber crystals, but they call it something else.
No, it's not. But Krennic over the secret meeting of Imperial officers about forcibly mining the resources of Gorman due to its heavy concentration of a rare mineral. And he does assign Deidre to this. So, I mean, this is like one of the biggest natural textile, and it's even had spiders that didn't creep me out.
Why do they have to have spiders though at all? They couldn't have been caterpillars, or I mean, they could have been silkworms. That would have been fine, but they had to be spiders again.
Of course, they had to be spiders. I will
what
say
is the
these weren't
capacity of
nearly as
spider?
terrifying as the ones from
That
Go
ice planet.
season 2.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I am 100% say you can animals other than spiders. It doesn't have to be spiders, but that's probably why people use it, because of how many people hate giant spiders.
Yeah. So
or any
I
spider.
thought the scene was very well done. Number one, I loved the way it was shot. I liked the centering and everything. Everything looked spacious and cold, and but they also had little. So they had this meeting, and then the meeting's over, and they talk about. Well, the two guys on the left that you see here, they're propagandists, and they talk about for the last year.
They look like it too.
Yeah, they really do. They talk about how for the last year they've been on an assignment to make Gorman look bad. Like, what were some of the examples they brought up? I don't know. It was a long form play to make it so that the rest of the galaxy would look upon Gorman with distaste. And then that would cause when the Empire has to go in for an intervention, the rest of the galaxy will be like, oh yeah, they've been on decline for years now. That makes sense. Like, they need to go in and restore order. I mean, smart. Yeah. This scene reminds me of the movie Conspiracy. It came out in 2001. Are you familiar? No. Okay. So it's a historical period drama about the Wannsee Conference of January 20th, 1942, where senior Nazi officials met to determine the manner in which the so-called final solution of the Jewish question can best be implemented.
No.
It was almost exactly, the whole movie was them in a boardroom just like this, in a castle, up in the mountains, and it's wintertime. I mean, it's January 20th. And so the whole movie is them talking back and forth about what they need to do to implement this horrible thing. And this is literally happening right here. They were basically doing some homage to this movie Conspiracy, which is a really good movie, by the way. I fully recommend it. HBO, if you have it. But I thought this was interesting. And they also did the thing where they had little hors d'oeuvres and desserts on the side table. And they were picking them up and chatting and talking. Literally happened in this movie too, in Conspiracy. I really liked it. I liked the idea that they're setting up the Gorman massacre, which was basically the trigger for when Mon Mothma announces in Rebels that to hell with the Empire and that they're formally rebelling, right?
I believe so.
So we've never seen it represented on screen, the Gorman massacre, but that was like one of the last straws on the camel's back. So it's interesting. I liked having Krennic back. It was nice. Good old, what's his face? Ben Mendelsohn. Bendelson. I always liked his uniform. I liked that cape. The cape is just so great. So I like this. I think, and we'll talk about the last part. I wish I had done it in sections rather than chronologically. So that's my fault. I just did it. I was thinking, oh, we'll do a recap, and then at the last second, I'm like, let's not do a recap. I hope we get to see Mendelsohn again, Krennic, and we'll see.
I'm sure he was featured a lot in the footage, so I would assume so. In fact, he's actually listed in the credits for season 2. So,
okay. Well, fingers crossed for a lot more of him. Finally, we get to Chandrila, or Chandrila. That's not how you say it. I know. I mean, when you read it though for the first time and you don't hear it, that's what it looks like. So I'm guessing this is Mon Mothma's home planet, Chandrila.
Yes, she's the senator for Chandrila. I think in the
finally
cut
get to see their
scenes,
home.
yeah, I think in the cut scene from Revenge of the Sith where they actually introduced Genevieve O'Reilly as young Mon Mothma, I think she was mentioned as being from Chandrila.
Okay.
But that has been part of her backstory forever. So
I do have to mention I'm actually going to see Revenge of the Sith in the movie theater tomorrow night. So
wouldn't it be great if they had all the cutscenes?
I know, it would be fun. But yeah, that's what I was saying. That was the joke, that Revenge of the Sith was the most profitable. I meant to talk about that before we got into this whole thing. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. I forgot everything about that movie. No, about how I was going to go see Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, yes. So what happens is several Sith get together and they take revenge on the Jedi.
Ruin it. Spoiler alert.
It's right there in the title.
Yeah. Remind me, are these sisters?
Are they sisters? So. Yes, okay. I think so.
So what's her sister's name? The shorter.
Belle. Oh, she's Mon Mothma's cousin.
Oh, cousin. Okay. So is she just like really deep in the resistance? Or the rebel cause? I mean, like her wedding dress even looked like something from, it looked like Norse armor for Viking women. So she's deep in it.
Well, remember, she was the leader of the infiltration team that Cassian was a part of in season 1, that Imperial one where they were supposed to knock off the payroll.
Oh, that was her. Okay.
Yeah. And she also tried to kill Arya Stark.
What? Where? When? How? Why?
She was the wife from the Bravos arc of when Arya was studying to be a faceless man.
Oh, that was her?
Yeah, it was her.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, she did good. She's coming up in the world. Gotta get credit. So
there's a lot of Game of Thrones actors in this show, by the way.
Well, this whole wedding sequence is all Game of Thrones. All of it.
I was waiting for a massacre, to be honest.
I was almost waiting for it too. When the DJ bot comes out and everyone starts like swinging their arms and and getting drunker as the time passes.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
And by the way, that's like the first. It almost sounded like something that would play at a discotheque in Europe right now.
It totally would. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if they actually sampled from someone in real life who did it. But
yeah, it was interesting, especially because Mon's just getting just pounding drinks later and later in this wedding.
Well, at this point, she's already been threatened like 3 times by her childhood best friend, the guy with the white hair, right?
Yeah, Tay.
Like Tay. Thank you. So at first, I thought he was going to be the one that was going to proposition Mon Mothma for icky deeds, if you know what I mean, in order to keep quiet.
Yeah, because he's the one who's been hiding, who's been helping move money around for her,
right?
So that she can pay things to the Empire. But he keeps, what did you find out? He's going through, his wife left him. He's had a bunch of bad investments. So now he's vulnerable. He knows something that could get him out. And of course, Mon Mothma's daughter is like betrothed to, I guess, a political rival. this guy, what's his name? Skolden, a shady businessman. Yeah, that they're the ones who they're very concerned about.
Sorry, my nose is leaking like a sieve. So,
Oh, I gotcha.
Scoven is the guy's name.
Skolden.
Was he there at the wedding?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, was he the father of the groom?
I think so.
I think he was. And then, okay.
Yeah,
So,
because in season 1, I think he parlayed. He's kind of a shady businessman who Mon doesn't really trust, but I think, there was basically he wanted an introduction for his son to her daughter,
right.
and there was, I think she had to basically acquiesce to it, to kind of,
In
I
order to
think,
keep
throw
things
this guy.
congenial.
Yeah, exactly. So
So,
yeah,
I mean, all the things that we're seeing her sacrifice right now.
right.
And she sees
It's
her
not
daughter as
been good.
miserable. She doesn't.
Yeah.
Her daughter doesn't like her husband to be. And there is a poignant moment right before the wedding ceremony where Mon Mothma turns to her daughter and says, "You know what? Nothing out there means anything. If you want, we can just turn around and tell them, thank you for joining us. The wedding, it's just not right to be married at this point in time."
Yes.
And her daughter's like, "I really wish you were drunk like grandma." Mon Mothma was talking about how her mother was drunk at her wedding.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that Mon Mothma is not into her husband. I mean, he's a decent guy, but I guess that was arranged.
Yeah, he seems kind of douchey too, though.
Here he is.
I mean,
first of all, get a haircut,
he does.
dude.
Well, I mean, it's very like samurai with like the hair pulled up in the back, and it's very uncomfortable to look at him.
Yeah,
because it kind of seems a little. It kind of seems a little culturally appropriated.
Well, aside from that, it's not a good look. It's just not.
I think that's one of the reasons why they dress him like that. He looks douchey, and this guy clearly. I think this guy's really kind of more like married into her family. Like I think she had the money.
Yes.
Thing.
The Mon Mothma estate and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and clearly this was a marriage of politics, probably. And like there's not really an affection there, and he likes to mock, her friend as her boyfriend, and he's clearly kind of a narcissist and hangs out with skeezy people who she's like, I don't really like these guys at my house, and he's like, yeah, but he's my friend, and there's really not much in the way of love there.
Yeah, I always find that to be tragic. I didn't get the impression that he was such a bad guy.
I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's kind of
he's not malicious,
kind of
just a little self-involved.
Yeah, he seems very self-involved. Maybe, there was a lot of stuff in season 1, like when they're on Coruscant, where he's, kind of like, oh, I want to have these people over. And she's like, I don't want to have these people over. It's like, he's the guy that you see in movies that like marries into, a woman with wealth. And he's like, got all these side projects that suck because he's got no talent.
He's got no talent, but but with just some feeder cash, We can get it. It'll be great. It'll be big. It'll just be like gangbusters. Oh,
now,
just like
he does seem like a halfway
that glows in
decent
the day.
Yeah, he does seem like he's not a terrible dad, which is good. He's just kind of a douche of a husband.
Yeah. Okay.
And he mocks her for having these old friends, and wouldn't surprise me if this dude actually has a side piece.
Yeah, it kind of has all the hallmarks to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, okay.
But things are starting to get more. Well,
it's getting much more uncomfortable for Mon Mothma, holistically.
Because now, clearly that her daughter is getting married off to the son of a guy she's very skeptical of. Her husband is more into it than she is. Her daughter vacillates between being super excited for this and then having teenage squabbles with the fiance. And then, all these Vel is looking for her girlfriend, who's also a rebel agent, and Luthen and his assistant are there. And he's like, what's going on? Oh, there's something going on with Cassian. Nobody knows where he is. And, haven't been able to find him. He's supposed to have stolen the super hot Imperial ship. And she's having to do all these clandestine meetings in the middle of preparation for and the daughter's wedding. They're all these people and Tay's saying, well, I'm having a real hard time. And she's like, oh, well, let's talk next week and we can figure out. And he's almost like, well, maybe I should. He kind of hints that he should, maybe tell somebody something.
Or Dava?
Mon Mothma discusses the possibility of Tay's defection with Luthen, who says they should ascertain his price for keeping silent about the rebellion. Right, so that's how they kind of leave it in episode 2. But in episode 3, as the wedding's going on, and Luthen's kind of
threatens her again.
He kind of does, and she's like, "Motherfucker, I said next week, okay, and we'll work on it."
And this is that scene. This is that scene where he walks away from her, and she's all nervous. This is that one shot, and great shot, by the way. I really liked this. I liked the dancing. I liked her being alone in a room full of everyone.
Yeah.
It was very well done. I liked that a lot. It really, you could feel her isolation.
Was this after she talked with Tay, or was this after she talked with Luthen, when Luthen basically said, we've got to get rid of him?
I think it was after Luthen. Lucan.
Okay.
Luthen. It's Luthen.
Luthen.
Sorry.
Yeah. And Luthen's basically saying he knows too much, and he's asking for money to not say anything. So he's basically already compromised.
Yeah. I mean, just because you give him money doesn't mean he's not going to ask for more money later. That's the problem. So you could buy yourself time, but you can't buy yourself peace in this circumstance. And I agree with Luthen.
Well, that's just what happens in these things. This one guy, Tay is basically broken. He's like, now that he's kind of said, well, I'm going to give, I could give this information to the highest bidder. He's basically about to blackmail them because he's got bad investments. And that's why, police officers, military personnel with debt, they're all considered high risk for, becoming insider threats.
What kind of debt, though? Gambling debt, credit card debt, any debt?
Substantial amount of, even if it's substantial amount of credit card debt. You got creditors, and then somebody finds out and goes, oh, we'll be very happy to pay off your credit card debt or your gambling debts if you do us a favor. Just tell us when this next unit is rotating out. We get insider threat training. We used to get insider threat training. We had to do it every year.
Interesting.
And there were all
Interesting.
sorts of, and there were all sorts of examples of people who had, went into debt or had an affair that went south, and
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
things.
That one
And
girl
these
at the
people who,
bar in Virginia, wasn't who you thought she was.
yeah, next thing you know,
Not
there's
you, by the
pictures
way.
that they're threatening to release to, your family, your boss, or whatever,
Mhm.
unless you give us some information. Yeah,
I hear it happens a lot to newly enlisted people. Like it's a problem.
No, it doesn't happen with newly enlisted because they have very little information.
I'm just saying that's what I heard.
What
I mean, it
what
happens to
what?
probably young officers, maybe,
They
or
might
something.
be they could be more of a target. Young enlisted, they just marry. A lot of them end up marrying somebody they shouldn't, who then fleeces them for everything they've got. They deploy, and the
I
next thing
know.
you know, the bank account
It's
is
so
closed out.
sad.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
I've
that's
had
awful.
briefings. It's terrible. But anyway, this guy is basically threatening blackmail, right?
Yeah,
And
he's
Luthen's like
complete
this.
loose cannon.
He's already a lost. He's already a lost cause. And she's like, and he's like, what it is, what was going to be, and basically, they follow this at the end, and you know, um, she's talked to him a couple of times, and he there's not been really a resolution. So, like, even in the midst of this party, Mon's trying to fix this. Luthen's, telling that he's going to have this guy whacked, and then she just gets hammered. She's like doing shot after shot, and just starts trying to dance and seems to get further and further into the dance, and then
reckless
Tay
abandon.
there's already a little tipsy, so he's leaving. Somebody's like, "Oh, I think we should get you a cab or something," and he goes, and Vel watches, and it turns out it's her girlfriend, who's gonna take this guy away. And
Okay, so Vel looked surprised. I again, I didn't recognize her girlfriend because it was 3 years ago. So, I had no
But
idea who
earlier
this woman
in
was, but
episode
she
like
wasn't
one or
supposed to be there.
right, episode 1 or 2, Vel has a quick moment where she asks Luthen for this girl's whereabouts, this woman's whereabouts, and he kind of, weasels his way out of it, kind of thing. And so does his assistant. They don't really bring things up, but that's what she's like. Oh, not only is she here, but I think she knows what's going on. Like, because he's like, oh, where's the normal driver? Oh, like he called out sick or something, so I'm stepping in. It's like, okay, well, take me home. So,
He's not going home.
No, we all know he's about to meet some sort of unfortunate end, which he kind of.
Do you think that was
has earned
at Luthen's discretion? He ordered that.
Yeah, he did.
So, did Vel know that her girlfriend was involved in the rebellion?
Yeah, she was the medic on their strike team, I think.
Okay. So she wasn't privy to the plan to get rid of Tay.
No.
So she was a little surprised to see her.
Yeah.
And this is okay. Well, okay.
And then she knows, oh, yep. And that's where he goes. Right.
So he flies off into the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the conclusion of the first 3 episodes. And we basically hit all 4 story points.
Yep.
Cassian was able to get to his friends.
Well, he arrives just at. Yeah, he arrives at Mina Rao, the planet that they're at, but the Imperials have already come in. They've stopped Brasso. This lieutenant has cornered Bix, and Brasso, it kind of gives cover for the guys who have been helping them. It's like, oh, you sold us out. And like kind of like looks at him like, this is your way to stay out of this,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then this
Subtle,
things
by
start
the way.
going haywire. Yeah, it was because I think he's dating this guy's sister or something like that.
So subtle that I didn't catch that until you mentioned it. So
Well, because there was a looming picture, not like there was like a look, and it wasn't like the "I'm gonna kill you." It was like this.
Yeah, there was a nod. There was a moment where they just kind of nodded at each other. Like there wasn't any anger. It was just like a quiet, like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
This is I'm in trouble. This is how I'm keeping you out of it.
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
So
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, because these guys were actually they gave them fake papers. They were trying to get them to move to another district because they're mechanics, but the Imperials cut them off. And Bix manages to fight this creep off and bash him in the head a few times with a wrench, so much so that he dies, but he's like yelling as she's beating the crap out of him finally. And this other guy comes in and she's like, he was, being naughty. And the guy's like, well, what? And then
he's dead.
Then he gets blasted. But, Brasso tries to run from the Imperials because the, Imperials are all scrambling, due to the, information about the assault. And then it's Willman who pops up and blasts this guy from behind with his blaster. And then Cassian arrives and starts blowing up all these Imperials with this super high-tech TIE fighter, which is like loaded to the teeth and has carrying capacity. And it just makes mincemeat out of all these Imperials. But one got off a shot and took out Brasso, which of course was his friend from Ferrix, who took care of Marva when she got sick, who took care of his droid, who actually treated his droid nicely. It was I was disappointed. I kind of liked him. He was kind of like that, buddy you could always count on. Generally dies in these movies.
Yeah, the one that's willing to not ask questions and help you bury the body. They're the ones. They're the red shirts in this circumstance. So
yeah, and it stinks because I thought he was a pretty solid character, to be honest with you. You gave him he found a little bit of love. He was mentoring this young kid. He was protecting Bix. He was Cassian's wingman, and that was but Cassian finds him clearly broken up by it, but he manages to get Bix and Willman onto the ship, and they take off. And then you realize he left his droid behind.
Yeah.
The poor droid with the memory issues.
I know. You gotta love that guy. By the way, there's an actress. I'll get to her name in a moment, but I saw her in the cast list of Andor in episode 3. I didn't recognize her where she is or what she's from. She must have been in one of the wedding guests or something. But she's in a movie with Hayden Christensen, and that is Virgin Territory. This is the woman that's in Andor right now. But Christensen, 2007. Okay. Didn't know about this. Anyway, her name is Rosalinda Halstead. And she played... Oh, boy, I'm not going to be able to get out of it. Okay, well, we'll just stop sharing there. I'll find it in a second. Sorry. I see different actors and actresses and I'm like, oh, you've been in things, I think, and then I go down that pathway.
What's her name?
Rosalind Halstead. Where is it? Here, Rosalind Halstead. She played Runai Skalden. And then there was Stecken Skalden. Is Stecken the groom?
Yes.
Okay, so she's the wife of.
Okay, she was the one with the black hair.
Davo.
Yes.
So, well, she's a redhead here. Anyway, in real life. That being said, yeah. So, beginning to wrap things up here. What are your thoughts on everything?
Well, it's definitely intense. Not gonna lie.
Very much so. Yes.
It always seems to be, but that's what this is. It really is intense, and you knew it was coming in. You knew there was problems. It was the Empire, a lot of Empire business going on. So
they do a very good job of showing how the Empire is just like everywhere, and it's exceedingly hard to get away from them. Exceedingly hard, to the point of almost despondency, and that's a good thing. I mean that in a good way. It keeps the tension going on this show, and it's interesting. I like it. It's keeping my interest. The only thing that I was looking upon was that one moment at the end of episode 3 that I knew was coming, and I just didn't want to go through with it. I just didn't. So, but that was the only reason. I mean, some would say a valid reason, but
yeah, no, it's not like people are looking forward to these scenes.
No, just yeah. Shall we do grades?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm gonna give this a solid A. No, B+. B+ because Cassian was pretty pointless in this first 3 episodes. The show was named after him. He really didn't do anything.
But his head is the biggest one in the poster.
It really is. And we got K2SO at some point coming through.
I'm gonna give it an A-. You're right. His side quest there, I think, was basically just designed to sideline him.
Handoff him.
And these guerrillas or freedom fighters or whoever, they were really annoying because they weren't even good at it.
They weren't. They weren't funny. They weren't endearing. They weren't super scary. They were an annoyance more than anything. They were hindrance. And yeah. So interesting. I'll actually be looking forward to watching more of these episodes. And we can start doing a wrap up on that pretty soon. So
are we going to do one every box of 3s, or are we just going to wait till the end?
You know what? How about we do every Monday? How about we do that? What?
I said it definitely gives us something to do every week.
I think so. Let's do an experiment, run the algorithm, see how it works out. Break away from our traditions. So
sure, let's do it.
Okay.
So that means we've got a week to watch the next ones.
Yeah, well, they're not even out yet. They come out tomorrow, so we got time.
We do.
We got time. All right, then. Anything else, DT?
No, man. That's it. I've been looking forward to this. I'm glad it's back, and I want to see where it goes from here.
All right. Well, on that note, everybody, Thank you for joining us. We are those Sci-Fi guys. I am P.S. McKay. Just wanted to say, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. It's out there.
And I'm DT Cavman from Up on the High Ground. Take care. Watch your back.
Those Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by Alpha Site Productions, produced by DT Cavman and P.S. McKay. Silverman Sound Studios Fiddle DD is under Creative Commons license. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow P.S. McKay on X at P.S. McKay or go to thosesciFiguys.com for past episode information. You can now find us on Spotify in video and audio format, so head on over there for our latest episodes. But don't worry, you can still find us on Apple. We're also on Rumble, and still find us on YouTube with live video podcasts and Facebook. So just be sure to leave a like and a comment and let us know how we're doing.